Welcome back, it's Jennifer. When you're taking your loved one home from the hospital or from a rehab facility, it is likely that you as a caregiver will need to make some changes to your home environment. In this video, I will go over the most common changes that will make your home safe and secure for your loved one. Changes to the home environment are usually inevitable the older we get. And one of the most common questions from caregivers is how to prepare their home for their loved one. So today, I'm here to tell you how. I'll go room by room. So I'll start with the room that has the highest fall risk and end with the one that has the lowest. And then I'll talk about some home security ideas. I'm sure it's no surprise to you that about 70% of falls happen in the bathroom. But think about it. Bathrooms usually include a lot of tile, and tile is slippery, especially when you add water. But here's what you can do to help. So the first thing and the thing that you need the most of are grab bars. So you're going to want a grab bar by the toilet, one in the shower, maybe one upright next to the shower for them to step into if it's a tub shower combination. Wherever you feel like they may need to have help holding on, install a grab bar. Now, the only thing with grab bars that you want to make sure of is that they're stable and that they're installed properly so that they work when they need to. The next thing that you want to make sure that you have are bath mats. So definitely one right outside of the shower or the tub, whatever they're getting into and out of. And then you also want to make sure that the shower or the tub itself has a non-skid or a non-slip surface on it so that they're not slipping getting into it. Then you want to check the bathtub height if you're working with a tub shower combination. And perhaps consider adding a tub transfer bench, which is basically just a chair on the outside of the tub that can slide over to the inside of the tub so they're not having to actually step. And then of course, if price is no concern, you can put in a walk-in shower with a bench. While the bedroom may seem like a safer place than most, it is usually the room where most people change clothes. And it's the place where they go from lying to standing. And both of these can challenge your balance and increase your loved one's risk for falls. So here are some things to do in the bedroom. First, you want to remove all the rugs. So if you have decor rugs in your bedroom, take them out. Really, the only places in your home at this point that you want to make sure and have rugs are where there's water. So when you think water equals a rug. And you want to make sure that all of these rugs have a non-skid surface and are relatively thin so that your loved one isn't stubbing their toe trying to step onto the rug or getting it caught underneath. If there's any other rugs in your home that are just for decor or that you like the way that they look, they need to go because they only pose a slip or a fall hazard. Another thing you want to make sure in the bedroom is to get rid of clutter. Our bedroom is a place that we like to take a lot of stuff in and throw it wherever we can find space. That all has to go. You also want to make sure that there's enough light. So especially at night, so making sure that outlets have night lights. There's a night light in the bathroom. There's a path that is lit, especially at night. Make sure that there's windows. Make sure that you open the blinds so that you can see, turn on lamps. If there's not enough light, again, they're not going to be able to see and it causes a fall risk. Another thing to check is the bed height. So make sure that your loved one can get in and out of bed without difficulty. So you don't want the bed to be too high and their feet not reach the floor, but you also don't want it to be too low where their knees possibly are up too high and they can't get out of it. While the kitchen is third on the list for the most common place to fall, falls that happen in the kitchen are usually the worst in regards to injury. So here are a few small changes that you can make. First, you want to keep an emergency contact list somewhere. I usually tell my patients to keep one on the refrigerator, and you can add people to this list, but it's basically just a list that either they can look at if they have something or have an emergency that they need to call, or if somebody were to come in the home that doesn't know your loved one very well, then they have a place that they can look and call maybe you if you happen to be out of the house for a little while. You also want to make sure that you have working smoke detectors. So you want to make sure these are everywhere in your home where they're supposed to be, but you want to make sure, especially in the kitchen, where they're going to be maybe using the stove or the oven, places where there's going to be an increased risk of smoke or fire hazard.
Also think about replacing slippery things with grippy things. And when I talk about this, I'm mainly thinking of like the pot holders, right? So pot holders maybe just are made of flimsy little fabric or material. Well, if your loved one has trouble feeling their hands, they're not gonna have good grip and they may slip. So you wanna have pot holders, they make them now that have really good grip or that they're made with rubber on the inside. Get those. So anything that you can have in the kitchen that has grip to it, especially things that they're gonna be picking up, that's going to be better for them and safer. Also look at your cabinet height. So this takes a lot of work if you're gonna reduce if you're gonna basically bring down cabinets to make them a little bit easier to reach into. Most people don't have that kind of money to put into their home. So instead you can add wall hooks. So you can basically put larger pots and pans there, or small things maybe from the cabinet. And then really large or heavy pots and pans, just leave space on the counter if there's room so that they can reach them easily. You also want to make sure that your kitchen stays organized. So have a place for everything. Know where the knives are, know where the scissors are, know where your pan and your pot. Make sure that everything has a place and put it back. Also, most of the time kitchens are made with tile or hardwood flooring. You're usually not going to find carpet in the kitchen. So make sure that your loved one is wearing grip socks that have little grips on the bottom, shoes or slippers, something that they can walk in the kitchen without slipping and having a chance of falling. And then there's the living room. So the living room tends to be the most disorganized room in the house. So this can cause a lot of problems and lead to falls. So here's some tips. First of all, remove all the sharp furniture. If it has a sharp edges, either put like baby protectors on it, or get rid of it altogether. If you have any furniture that's made of glass, it's also best to remove that because it can break pretty easily and cause a lot of injury. Also make sure that there's enough room to walk around. So if your loved one is in a wheelchair, or especially if they're having to use a walker, you want to make sure that there's adequate space for them to be able to maneuver around. If the space is really tight and they can barely get through there with their walker, that's not enough room. You want to make sure that it's at least 1.5 or double the width of the walker that they're using so that they can get around easily. Make sure that all of your furniture is stable. So I know that there's some furniture pieces out there that maybe have wheels on them or can move around. Maybe they're stackable. Get rid of all of that because the likelihood of your loved one probably having to use a piece of furniture to kind of get around when they're moving around is likely. So anything that has a chance to fall, you want to make sure that you get rid of it. Again, decor rugs, I find a lot of these in the living room, they have to go. Okay, so now that we've covered the main rooms, let's talk about home security. So when it comes to crime, theft, and home invasion, elderly people are not necessarily targeted more than any other age group, but if they are targeted, they can do very little to stop it. But again, there are some things you can do to increase the safety of your home. The first thing is to install deadbolts on all of the exterior door locks. That way you can have 2 locks, and deadbolts are a lot harder to break into. Also make sure that there's a peephole on your front door so that if somebody knocks or rings the doorbell, your loved one can see who it is before they're opening the door. You also should probably replace doors that have glass on them, especially if the glass is really thin if it's not a real thick piece of glass, with either wood or metal doors. That just increases the security. And the last thing is to install motion sensor lighting around the house so that the lights come on if it sees motion, or even thinking about putting in a security cameras. That way, if your loved one's worried that somebody may be outside, they can look at the camera and see if there's any cause for concern. And that's it. So if you follow these recommendations, your home may not be featured in Better Homes and Garden magazines, but it will be safe and your loved one will have a better chance of staying on their feet. Click on this video to learn 7 things to look for to know if your loved one is mentally declining. I'll see you there.
Thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon to help you continue cracking the code.